Welcome to Koi Cubed. We are back after a week off. Last week at this exact same time, my good buddy Mark Riley asked me to attend the Good People Association, and I hadn't seen Mark in some time. Mark and I worked at Collider together, and now he has a sweet, beautiful new studio, and I was like, you know what? I haven't seen Mark in a year and a half. I should go see him. So unfortunately, I didn't have time to do Koi Cubed last week, so I appreciate your patience with having a week off last week. We are here today to talk all sorts of stuff. We're going to talk that Suicide Squad 2 trailer. We're going to talk Transformers Beast Wars. We're going to talk the new Shazam suits. We're going to talk about some new Black Widow quotes. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But first, we got to knock this new piece of art. Look at this sweet new art. So Display is this beautiful company that I get art from. Not sponsored, I just like their work. And I have a tier in my Patreon that I now have 2 patrons of, where they basically cover about half the displays. So I try to get more because displays add up, they get expensive. This is my newest piece. This is from the great Curtis Mason. I've got another new piece I'll be opening next week. I do unboxings of these, and that is a Departed Minimalist piece from another patron I'm talking about next week. So this will be The Departed next week. But for now, sweet, sweet Spider-Gwen. Thank you, Curtis. I'm so excited. If you guys want to check out my Patreon, that's one of the tiers. Love having art behind me. Big fan of turning my whole place into comic books. Anywho, back to business. Today, new Suicide Squad trailer. I first want to talk about how they unleashed it. The Suicide Squad trailer came out in an unlisted link, and it basically was completely viral word of mouth. And I think that is a fascinating way to test the industry, test the market. I think it's genius. It doesn't rely on algorithms. It doesn't rely on anything except fandom. And then you can see what your numbers actually are without the boost of YouTube, without the boost of those things. It was an unlisted link that everyone shared. I saw it, and it was already at 1 million views. I can't imagine what it's at now. A lot of people sent it to me, and it was already at 1 million at that point. So it's very impressive, and it's a very curious new way to release a trailer. Very cool to have jumped the gun, as a lot of the actors shared it, and I thought it was a really cool way to track what the actual optics are. Now, the trailer itself was way heavier on action than the first 2 trailers. There was a red band trailer and a green band trailer released about 2 months ago that leaned heavily on the comedy. They were very different trailers. I preferred the red band, but each of the trailers was pretty independent of the other. This trailer only has about 40% of reused footage, so 60% new stuff, and most of that is action-based. This movie is going to be a full-on action comedy. It is amongst the craziest budgets James Gunn has ever worked with, and that is saying something, as he has done Guardians 1 and 2. He said it was the most free he's ever been on a film, so that is also saying something, considering he was able to mold completely unique to the Marvel Universe characters. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was very groundbreaking, as it was nothing like we'd seen before in the MCU, and it really kicked off this cosmic stuff. So I'm really curious what freedoms beyond the R rating we get out of the insanity that is James Gunn doing The Suicide Squad. Now, the things I gleaned out of the trailer, some of my favorite moments. I love the setting up of the hierarchy of power with the Black Superman, Idris Elba, having put Superman in the DC Universe in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet. That shows us how strong, how powerful, how capable he is. I'm very curious about his character. Obviously, Idris Elba is one of my favorite actors. Obviously, I talk about him a lot, but one of my favorite actors working, Idris Elba. So I'm excited to see him in this commanding of a performance with this strange ensemble cast. So many great character actors in this cast, so many people that I really love the work of, and I can't wait to see Idris just own. We also have a little line describing Weasel. We have a moment where we're trying to figure out what Weasel is, and then of course, Weasel is a weasel, but this weasel has eaten 27 children and is in fact not a werewolf. Very curious. I know Weasel's going to steal the show, much like Rocket often does. Very different character than Rocket, seemingly mute, or at least a bit more deranged than Rocket. Very curious about that. The asshole joke. It's 2 for 2 now, with John Cena stealing the trailer for me. The eating all the dicks on the island joke in the first one, the red band trailer, naturally, that is a very red band joke. But now in this one, asking if Starfish is perhaps connected to the double entendre of an asshole being a starfish. I'm very excited for this character. I see why it got a spinoff for people like me. I cannot wait to see more of this character. He's a ridiculous character in the comic books. John Cena's a pretty slept-on actor. I cannot wait to see those things converge. Very excited for that. King Shark saying Bird, another highlight. If the movie is as good as just these amazing little highlight pulls from the trailer, which I would argue James Gunn's movies are actually better than his trailers. Some movies, trailers exceed the film because they're just really well shot, so it looks pretty. This, I think, is just perfectly ramping us up, and I think the movie's going to blow a lot of people away. I think it's going to really restructure the DC Universe, reset the tone in a lot of really interesting ways. I'm very curious about the action, very curious about the darker comedy, very curious about an R-rated movie, reestablishing these characters in a new way. Very hopeful. First movie, I had a lot of hope for, and it was disappointing to me. I'm very hopeful for this one. I'm not letting the first one's disappointment change my experience of what this movie looks like. Completely new team. Very curious how it all shakes out. Loved the trailer. Give me more. I take that back immediately. I'm probably done watching trailers, so don't give me more. Give other people more if they want it. I'm done watching trailers till the movie comes out. I'm sold. I'm fucking in. I was sold as soon as they announced the team, but now I'm really fucking sold. Give me that Suicide Squad. We've got a super chat from Mr. Hitman Hudson with a Streamlab from Hitman Hudson saying, so a while ago I read these young adult books in which the 5 magical elements were earth, fire, air, water, and cheese. So like there needs to be a comic book about a cheese magician fighting evil with the power of Gouda and fondue. Please pitch this. Do you want me to... I think you mean pitch it now, because I don't have any comic book places I could pitch this. Someone else already clearly owns this masterpiece of literature. But, well, I would have the provolone be the strongest cheese, because I think the provolone has the best texture for overcoming other textures. You can really just smother a fire. It would melt, actually. You could smother a earth-based element with Gouda or a provolone. I really don't know how to take this cheese metaphor, as I don't eat all that much cheese. Dairy makes my skin break out, so cheese is actually an enemy to my body. I love cheese. I eat pizza fairly often, but I shouldn't, because me and cheese don't get along. It doesn't affect my stomach, just makes my skin look angry. Love cheese, but we fight. So, and that evil magician would take me out, frankly. I think that's the moral of the story. All right, on to the next bit of news. Shazam has new costumes, and they are stunning. Director David F. Sandberg released an official image, which is why I'm talking about it, because I talk about the official stuff, of the Shazamily in their new suits. Now, this was revealing, one, because we get to see that Mr. Zach Levi is even bigger than he was in the first one. Yes, the first one had some augmentation. It was a bit more cartoonish. I like that they subdued it a bit. They also subdued the colors. Everything's a bit more muted. These are growing up characters. These are maturing characters. But also, the young Mary Marvel, the young Mary Marvel, is now playing both Mary Marvels. So she's at an age where she is going to be both, and I'm curious what storyline elements that brings in. Is there a point where you're old enough that you stay in that mode? There's definitely got to be some storyline there, so I'm really curious about that as she's playing both characters, unlike in the first film where she was the oldest of them but still had a new character playing her adult version when Shazammed up. Very curious about that. And also the new suits just look incredible. All these actors look great in them. I really like the more subtle neckline. I'm really curious about the CGI capes. It looks like in this image they are attached, but I know they traditionally CGI on capes. I'm curious how that's going to work with the more subdued costume. I love the first Shazam. It might be my favorite modern DC film. But yeah, very curious about this next one. And they're chasing the clock in a real way. These kids are growing up fast. These kids are growing up furious. Very curious how this shakes out. So excited, but our first official look at the suits, all sorts of in, and that's why I talked about it, because it's official, because there's some leaked images that I don't want to get into, because they're paparazzi photos, and fuck paparazzi. They're on the Flash set. If you want to watch people talk about leaked images, go to another show. Fuck the paparazzi. Batman. Let's talk about Batman. Batman is a hero, and heroes aren't selfish, and therefore they take care of their women. Last week there was a mega controversy. I've talked about it all week. It's old news, but let the record show. A superhero with a mask that allows for one specific task that has literally steering elements, that wears a kink suit with a cape, motherfucker eats pussy. Batman takes care of Catwoman. I don't care what they say. It's canon. Ask any comic book writer or artist or creator that isn't a suit. Batman takes care of Catwoman. She wouldn't stand for that shit. Catwoman would not stick around for a fucking moment if Batman wasn't a man. So fuck that. Boys should be raised to be less selfish. Boys should be raised to be less prudish. Americans should be less fucking prissy about their sexuality. That's the wrong word. They should be less delicate. No, they should embrace their sexuality. They should embrace their sexuality. Whatever it is, they should be less averse to talk about it. And it's shitty that an exec would say that about Batman and have some kid be like, yo, take care of me, but I don't do that. I'm a hero. Fuck that. Batman eats cat. Bat-cat. That's what it stands for. Moving on. Watch the Good Place Association, the Good People Association. I was on the Good People Association last week. Mark Riley's show over at the GPA, and we talked about this for about 20 minutes. I had much more to say about it, but I've talked about it for a full week straight. But that is my official statement in short. But you can see me at the GPA if you want to hear about it at more length. All right, we got another one of them Streamlabs just popped up. This one is from the great Mr. It hasn't loaded yet. I thought I saw the name James, but let me click over. There we go. Jason Ritchie. Good old Jason Ritchie. With what DC is saying about heroes, I'm guessing there's going to be a rise in popularity with Marvel's Venom. I couldn't even finish saying it before I thought it was funny. You know what? You're not wrong. A nice strong tongue, some tendrils. He seems to be a supporting lover. He seems to care. He's very invested in the Michelle Williams character. But most of all, I do think his costume is very, very helpful for that activity. And I do believe that you're right. I think Venom is definitely the hero we need and the one women deserve right now. Go buy Venom comics. He's clearly the hero we need right now. Jason, just full golf clap. Excellent work. Excellent work, and thank you for the Streamlab, good sir. All right, let's go over to Beast Wars. Beast Wars is the new subtitle for the next Transformers film. I'm very excited about it. I'm a huge Beast Wars fan. I love the original CGI animated series. I have not watched it in years, so I do not honestly know if it holds up. I do worry it doesn't hold up because I know CGI is an ever-evolving thing, and there's some shows I can't revisit. But Transformers Rise of the Beasts will be a prequel to the Transformers films we've had so far, pre-Sam Witwicky, I assume also pre-Bumblebee, so before 80s even, that will take place post-Beast Wars. So I'm very curious how this continuity all ties together. They're looking for an Indiana Jones tone. It is going to be directed by Stephen Capel Jr. This gentleman directed Creed 2. I'm a big fan of the Creed series, Creed 1, Creed 2, the upcoming Creed 3 I'm very excited about. I got to meet this dude once. He came in Collider for a Collider Live. Absolute gentleman and a scholar. Loved his perspective on filmmaking, loved his worldview, loved his love of franchises. Think this franchise is absolutely in capable hands. They're going to have a Gen 1 Optimus Prime in there, so not only do we get the incredible Beast Wars, but we get the OG Optimus. Very excited to see that as an 80s Transformers fan. It stars Anthony Ramos, the dude from In the Heights and Hamilton, so I'm really excited about that as someone that just saw In the Heights and was very impressed with this kid. Hyped for that, and it comes out on June 24th, 2022. So all of that was announced today. Obviously, we've got until next summer, about a year from right now, a year from this weekend. We have a new Transformers movie to look forward to. Those are the details we have so far. I'm very reluctantly excited. I loved Bumblebee. I thought that was going in the right direction. I was bummed they took those reins away from that director. I thought he did a great job. I liked the first Transformers film. I was really young, but it was a good spectacle. The rest haven't really worked for me that well. I'm a big Mackie Mac guy, and even Mackie Mac couldn't save the Transformers. So I don't know, but this is how you get me back on board. You give me Gen 1 Optimus Prime, you give me some Beast Wars. I'm very intrigued by all of the above, so sign me up tentatively for next year. That is 1 year from today. No, 1 year from 2 days from today. 1 year from Thursday. But you know what? Today is not from Thursday. Today, Tuesday. More importantly, June 22nd. Do you know what happened June 22nd, 20 years ago? June 22nd, 2001, is a day that cinema changed forever because Fast and the Furious 1 came out. Today is the 20th anniversary of Fast and the Furious, and today Cinemark is playing that fucking magical movie in 300 theaters nationwide. You can see Fast and the Furious again. If you've never seen it, what a great way to see it for the very first time. I love this franchise so very much. I love that they're doing this to tie into Fast 9. I think this franchise is slept on. I think it is a fun version of the 80s movies we all grew up with. I think it started out with, being a Point Break remake, effectively evolved into its own culture and evolved the culture it based itself on, and then became an action franchise like the 80s, like Expendables, like a lot of the things that really work, and now it's really self-aware. I don't want to give anything away about the 9th one, but it evolves in a way that I don't know where it's going to go with 10, and it evolves in a way that makes 8 look small. It is just bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier, but I love that its roots started with family and with a small town, and I love car culture, and I love Fast and Furious culture. I think family is essential. This first movie means a lot to me. It's probably my favorite not superhero franchise, though they're effectively superheroes now. Love Fast and Furious, and today's the 20th anniversary. This movie actively changed my life. I was subscribed to Super Street. I was subscribed to Import Tuner. I bought a 95 Honda Civic and put about $4,000 into a $2,000 car, probably more than that. I love tuner culture, and I love American Muscle, and these movies are about those two things and way more now. But you can have any beer that you want as long as it's a Corona, and that franchise right here. There's so many lines that are cheesy but beautifully heartfelt. There's so many moments that are like stand up and cheer moments. I love that franchise, and it's 20 years old today. Fast 9 drops Friday, June 25th. It is out this Friday, which means Thursday midnight. Go support theaters. Go support Insane Cinema. Go see Fast 9. I've seen it. I had a great time with it. Next week, we'll do a review of it. We'll do a spoiler review of Fast 9. But for now, I can say it is family meets Looney Tunes in all the best ways, and it's a damn good time, and there is some justice for Han. Go check out Fast 9, and happy 20th birthday, Fast and Furious. Cannot believe it's been 20 years. I literally grew up with that movie. Now I guess I'm old. Good golly, 20 years. All right, next up, we've got, you know what? I'm gonna do a couple bits of news, and I'm gonna talk about Disneyland. Let's see, last week there was a brief glitch promo for Spider-Man No Way Home that got taken down. That was going to be the headline I talked about last week. Like I said, I couldn't make the show last week because I was doing Good People Association, but I don't know if this means Spider-Verse. It seems to mean Spider-Verse, but that is such a big story. I've talked about how I think it's going to be an interdimensional Sinister Six movie. I think Spider-Verse may happen in the 4th one. I think that teaser is definitely something. Argentina pulled it real quick, but a lot of people saw it. The glitch is intriguing. I'm also curious going forward if studios are going to do a leak and then pull it. Like, it's been very good press for them. Have it up for 5 minutes, have us talk about it, and then there you go. Very curious about it going around. We will see what that means, but Sony Argentina's official Twitter posted a thing and then removed it. Could have been an accident, could have been not official, they could have accidentally posted something that wasn't official, or it could be a great way to get us to talk about something that we'll see in about a year. In about 6 months, in December. That's this year. All right, we also got a new Flash costume last week. We just got a shot of the suit. I like the color. I like the style. I can't believe this movie is actually happening. Again, I don't talk about paparazzi photos. There are other sites if you want to look at those. We've also got Black Widow quotes I want to talk about. Black Widow, I haven't seen yet. A lot of my peers and fellow entertainment compatriots have, and they loved the fight scenes. And now the director of said film is coming out and talking about the fight scenes. The director, let's see, had this to say, quote, different fights had different hearts to them almost. Shortland, the director, had this to say. So say we're looking at a fight on the bridge with Taskmaster. She's trying to use her skill set, but that character that she's fighting can do what she can do, basically, so Scarlet can't use those skills. She also wanted to make fight scenes messier than superhero battles we've seen in the MCU, so, quote, what we tried to do in other fights was to really mess it up, and then it became like a street fight. So say with her sister, again, she's up against a formidable opponent, those fights became messy and raw, and that was really fun, and we had that from the beginning. I think that is a very good thing to add to the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sometimes it feels too clean. My favorite of the films is Winter Soldier because it does feel more espionage-y, more gritty, more Bourne. I love that direction it seems like this is going. That's something that they've referenced as being the tone they were going for. I would love more of that, so that's exciting. She went on to say, quote, when she talked to Kevin Feige, that When I talked about the film with the choreography, with the choreographer, I was watching humans fight, not superheroes. Kevin spoke about how he always wanted it to have stakes, so it wasn't like the fights could just be perfectly choreographed. There had to be little moments of accidents and mess-ups and things that you weren't expecting, and that was really fun. I love that. I haven't seen it. This all sounds very promising. I am very, very in for more Jason Bourne style, for more hand-to-hand, for more gritty, for more down-to-earth. We can keep the Avengers, but if everything's the Avengers, nothing is the Avengers. We need more solo films. We need more down-to-earth stuff. Spider-Man needs to be from a friendly neighborhood. Black Widow needs to be fighting in more assassin-based, not power set elements. Taskmaster has powers, but if they're mirroring a human, they're going to be more human-like. So this all works for me. I'm very much in. That drops July 9th. We are merely 3 weeks out, a little less than 3 weeks out from Black Widow. We have 4 Marvel films coming out in theaters this year. We've already had WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki. Now we're about to have movies in theaters, 4 of them, plus all the Disney Plus stuff. Bounty of Riches. July 9th, 2021. Black Widow. Very excited. All right, almost done with the news. Then we're going to talk about Disneyland. It was revealed last week that not only is Boba Fett going to tie into the original trilogy, but Robert Rodriguez directed the lion's share of the episodes. I thought Rodriguez's episode was a highlight of The Mandalorian. I'm very cautiously optimistic about Boba Fett. I want to veer away from the original trilogy because I think everyone being a Skywalker hurts the franchise, but I do see why Boba needs to visit it. We got to see him get out of the Sarlacc pit. We've got to see how he survived all those things, but I'm hoping it's only like some episodes. I really like exploring more of the galaxy and building out the universe, so we'll see what happens. But Rodriguez, I trust. He knows the character. He gets the character. He gets the fandom. He gets us. I'm excited. And then finally, before I talk about Loki and Disneyland, Robbie and Stephen Amell are returning for a Code 8 sequel over on Netflix. Robbie and Stephen are in real life big geeks. I've only met Stephen a couple times. I know Robbie. Robbie's a huge Batman guy. He's a big nerd. And so is Italia, by the way. They're delightful. But I'm so proud and happy for them because they made this independent film, this indie comic film, Code 8, and it was all through willpower. They made a short, and then they made it into a feature, and sometimes you make shit, and you get the right stars to align, boom, and now they get a sequel at Netflix, so I'm just happy for them. Congrats to Robbie and Stephen Amell. Code 8 sequel at Netflix is all systems go, and that is very exciting. All right, I want to talk about Disneyland. I went to Disneyland for the very first time last week. What day was that? Last Thursday? Last Thursday. First trip to Disneyland. It is everything people say it is, man. I thought I'd been too hyped for years, and also as an adult, I was afraid that the rides would feel, like it wasn't as magical as a kid would experience it. I can see how being a kid would make it even more magical, but I had a damn magical time. Even the old rides from like the original, the OG, like I rode Peter Pan and I was enchanted. I was just so enthralled with the world they built. I also got to ride Rise, the new Star Wars ride, Rise of the Resistance, and that was probably the most immersive experience I've ever had with any fandom. I get Star Wars more for Rise. I get the fandom more because I got to be in a Star Wars, and it was truly incredible. I drank at Oga's Cantina. I piloted the Millennium Falcon. I actually got to be the pilot. I ate a Ronto wrap. What else did I do in Star Wars? I took pictures of the Millennium Falcon. I did the Star Wars. It was truly incredible. Rise of the Resistance is the single most insane experience I've had with a ride, period. Highly recommend it. It's very stressful. Disney's expensive. I am very fortunate, so I was able to get on the ride. I know a lot of people have not been able to, so be aware of that, but it is a life-changing experience if you can make it happen. It broke down before I got on it, it broke down after I got on it, and it stayed down. There was only about a 3-hour window it was up, so I know a lot of people didn't get to get on. I'm very fortunate, and I had a really good time. So all those caveats aside, Rise of the Resistance is a life-changing experience, but be aware that it's a whole thing to get on. But holy crap, it's 24 minutes? It's insane, and you're in Star Wars. Like, I forgot I was a person, and I was in Star Wars. Highly recommend it. I also walked around Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus makes you feel like you're in the MCU. The music swelling, the immersion, the details, the Easter eggs, the Spider-Man experience. There's a Spider-Man stunt performer, and there's some fun, fun, silly stuff. But then there's one truly insane stunt that I know the details of, which I won't share because you don't reveal the magic secrets, but it is unbelievable. All of the merch is really fun and science-based and geeky, and I love that they're teaching kids to be engineers. There's so many talks about engineers and science and all those things while you're touring Avengers Campus. I had my first shawarma ever. That was amazing. I had shawarma at Avengers Campus for the first time. I've had like donor and stuff, but I've never had official shawarma, and this felt like a perfect first shawarma experience. I rode the Guardians ride and it broke me. I was sick for like 2 hours because I get motion sickness and I'm a little baby. It was the elevator ride, and the elevator from hell or whatever, I don't know Disney lore. It was a very important elevator ride, and I rode it and it broke me. But it was a great story, and it was very fun, and I wish I had a more steel-lined stomach, because I am hurting. I was hurting. But I think the ride that's going to really change everything is I heard a rumor that they're turning the Avengers Campus into a big Avengers ride to rival Rise of the Guardians. So I hope that turns out to be true. The actors they cast as the people wandering as the characters were amazing and looked just like them. They acted just like them. Kids were overjoyed. And then I got to ride the Spider-Man ride. Now, the Spider-Man ride is like a workout. You're webbing up spiders that have overrun this campus. Tom Holland is there. You're helping Spidey. Tom Holland as Spidey. It is really cool to team up with Spider-Man and to be in a VR experience that feels so immersive, and it's a fantastic workout, and it's another incredible VR ride. Highly recommend that as well. I think that's all the Avengers stuff. Oh, the Pym kitchen with the food that's small and big. It's just fun to watch. Just go and make time for the Pym kitchen experience. It's really stunning and amazing. Again, I ate the shawarma, so I didn't get the Pym food because that's too much food, but had a damn good time. I also had a Bloody Mary with pizza in it. I had a pizza Bloody Mary while I was there, which I'd never done before, and that was good. But I now worry about, I want pizza in all my Bloody Marys. And then just general Disney stuff. Star Wars was probably my favorite experience, and I now, like I said, understand Star Wars more. Avengers Campus was everything a nerd could want. I can't believe it exists. Disney in general, Haunted Mansion lives up to everything. It is so spooky and surreal, especially after all these years. I loved New Orleans Quarter. Rode the Indiana Jones ride, and that was really amazing. The Incredicoaster broke me. Again, very delicate sensibilities, but it was a really great ride. What else did I ride? Oh, Soarin'. Soarin' makes you feel like you're actually flying. Soarin' is incredible. I did like 20 rides, maybe more. I had such a good time at Disneyland. Again, I cannot believe, I'm going to be posting on Instagram. I can look at my photos and remember what I did, but I cannot believe what an experience it is for an adult. Like, I can't imagine being a kid, but as an adult, it was truly magical. When I have kids, I look forward to bringing them there once I win the lottery or book a giant gig, but it is a really special place. If you can make it onto Rise, it will change your life. It is quite the experience. Disneyland, 10 out of 10. Had myself an incredible theme park time. I'm better for it. Let's talk about Loki. Speaking about Disney, also there was a TVA Loki walking around. They're changing out the Loki every week in accordance to the episode that just dropped, and that is so great and immersive. I think that is a fantastic idea. If you want to know my full hour-long thoughts, 45-minute long thoughts on Loki, every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. I am doing my weekly water cooler conversation where I break down that episode. So I watch it for me, and then I watch it again with notes, and then I immediately jump on Instagram and I just diatribe all my thoughts. It's a 45-minute stream of consciousness thought. These are some of the highlights from that, but both of them are still up. In fact, all the ones from WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier are still up. So if you want to know my long-form thoughts, they're available on my Instagram. They live on my Instagram. They're in the IGTV. But if you want to know my thoughts, as soon as the episode drops, watch my Instagram live at 10 a.m. But these are some highlights from episode 2 that I experienced. The end of this episode, by the way, spoiler for episode 2. The end of this episode potentially sets up all of Phase 4. The end of this episode might be as big as the blip, and it's huge and redefining of the entire Phase 4. The multiverse could have effectively started right now. We could have just seen the beginning of everything changing, and I loved the Easter eggs. I loved the names listed. I loved all of that. I was so impressed, so involved, so overwhelmed at its glory. Good God. The end could change everything. The line, "A scared little boy shivering in the cold that ice runs," that line broke me, because Loki acts like this child that always wants attention. He's this little child that he's the brother of the god of thunder. He's supposed to be the god of mischief. He's cursed to this role in some ways, and the whole conversation about fate and destiny and all that is extra painful because Loki doesn't want to be that guy, but he is that guy. So that was a beautiful, sad moment, and all of his interactions with Owen Wilson just trying to get his approval and all of those things is just Good God, it's great, great work. The idea of tracking yourself and basically learning about yourself in an existential way while having these big existential conversations with someone that's outwitting you while you're trying to outwit them is such a genius plot. Loki's looking for himself, metaphorically and literally. Loki's figuring out what it means to be someone on their own free will while someone's trying to describe that free will might or might not exist. This show is mind-boggling. I love it so very much. I love the charm between these two. The show wouldn't work without that. I genuinely believe everyone's motivations, even though some people wouldn't know what their motivations are, but the acting is so incredible. I'm like, yes, I believe that in this moment. Oh, that completely changed? I see why you were lying. I see why that changed. Genius. I'm very curious if Kang is all three of the timekeepers, if Kang is any of the timekeepers, if the timekeepers are real, what the judge has to say, what she's doing in manipulation, all of that. The way Owen Wilson feeds us his psychoanalysis of Loki to manipulate him while Loki is attempting to manipulate everyone, including us, the audience, is truly astounding. There's so much going on with wordplay, and I love it so very much. I also love the more traditional Loki learns a thing, we learn a thing. In the opening, we learn more about timekeeping because Loki's learning about timekeeping. It's a very old trope, but it works very well in the show because there's a lot of dense stuff about timekeeping. But they're feeding us lots of exposition, in my opinion, exceptionally well, very invested. We also got Roxxon. Roxcart is a big part of the third act of this episode. Roxxon is a huge part of the comics. It is a very evil conglomerate. I think Roxxon is going to be a big part of Thor 4. I just think because of the Jason Aaron comic that will be a thing. I'm very intrigued about what Gugu Mbatha Raw's motivations are. I am very, very curious about what they said involving more Lokis than any other variant. There are more Lokis than other variants. What does that mean? How many will we see? That little sequence was just darling. I love the Pompeii buddy cop energy. You had the too old for this shit Owen Wilson and the TVA agent on the edge Loki. That whole dynamic was amazing. And the fact that we had an episode start in a boring DMV, have the middle in Pompeii, and end at a Walmart effectively is how great this show is because all of those felt real and invested and thoroughly mapped out and earned. Excellent work. I've never cared more about jet skis. Is Loki Team Loki? Is Loki Team TVA? Is Loki Team Loki variants? Is Loki actually trying to take over the TVA? Is he actually trying to impress Mobius? I really enjoy that at this point I could believe any of those things. I could believe he wants to impress Mobius and he's actually trying to take her out. I could believe that he's actually trying to help her. I could believe that he's serving his own interests as he always does. I mean, at the end of the day, those are all those things. I could believe he's playing the long game of the TVA. I could believe any of this because of great Tom Hiddleston acting and incredible writing. Loki checking on Agent 15 has been discussed a lot on the internet, but I'm wondering if he was looking for something in Agent 15 or if he was actually helping. Again, how much do we trust Loki in general? And in the first episode, seeing his whole arc happen before our eyes from 2012 Loki up until a more moral Loki, very impressive. And I don't believe for a second that the red line ends the universe. I think it just ends their control. I still maintain the TVA are bad guys. I think they're fascists. I think they're overbearing and controlling, and I don't trust them, but we will see. Quick little bit of things, Easter eggs, and then I saw a Streamlab pop up, and I'm going to answer some questions. Grinwald, I talked about last week. Stephen Grunwald, if you check out my Instagram, that's who they based the look of Owen Wilson off of. He's an editor at Marvel. He's also their continuity expert. It's fun to have a continuity expert in the TVA, effectively his job, be modeled after a real continuity expert at Marvel. I thought that was delightful. Is that center character Kang? The locations listed, the branch timelines were Vormir, Asgard, Titan, which is Thanos' home, Xandar, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, Ego the Living Planet, also from Guardians, Sakaar, where Planet Hulk is based, the Kree-occupied planet of Hala, very interesting as well, very excited to see where that goes. My favorite Easter egg in the whole episode was when Loki approaches the help desk of the TVA library, not only is that woman a splitting image of the Monsters, Inc. character, which is the Easter egg most people notice, and that is all in good fun, but the sound cue when he walks up is the sound cue where when Brad Pitt walks up to the help desk in 7, and this whole episode felt like a David Fincher thing, so that there was a David Fincher Easter egg with a sound cue to Brad Pitt in 7 was amazing. Thank you for the Mindhunter moment. I thought that was wonderful. I'm very curious why all the drinks are from the 90s. I'm very curious about the Revengers getting a full line of notice in the Ragnarok ending, because Revengers was like a throwaway line of dialogue from Mark Ruffalo. I don't necessarily think that'll come back, but I think it's very interesting. And I also, I really enjoyed the landing with the trucker. When the trucker tosses Loki, he lands in the same way he does in Avengers when he shakes his hair off and gets back up after falling for 20 minutes. All of those little Easter eggs are very appreciated. I'm very curious where this show goes going forward, but I am loving it very, very much. Let me check on those streams before I get to comic book recommendations. Let's see. I do think Wile E. Coyote will be in Fast 10. Jason Ritchie's back with some more love. I know this is off topic. Nothing's off topic. But thought you might like to know there will hopefully be some more Schmoedown representation from Boston in the near future. I just submitted my FCL audition video last week. Good, sir. You would be incredible in the FCL. Jason Ritchie knows his movies. He's a smart camper, and you'd have a lot of fun with it. I have no control whatsoever in the FCL, but I can put it in good word. I literally have no control because MTS and FCL are separate, but I will absolutely tell the powers that be that you are a spectacular human being. I will definitely send you some good juju, and I'll put word in for you over there. Dude, I'm so excited about that. Hell yeah. Roxy's from Boston, Jeff Snyder's from Boston, JTE's from Boston, I'm from Boston. Jason Ritchie, let's take over. Boston's taking over. We started this country, let's keep running it. Yeah, good man. I'm so excited for you, man, and I will definitely tell them. Let's see. Oh yeah, and the 616 Fanboy Cantina reminded me while I'm scrolling through here. I noticed at noon, because I was writing down the date, and I made a TikTok about it because the episode dropped on 616. The multiverse began on the day of the original source of the multiverse. So in the comic books, the multiverse spans out of the universe 616. In our universe, the multiverse begins on the date 616. I think that is so incredible. I think that's why they moved it from Fridays to Wednesdays. I think it's amazing fortune that we live in a time where that nerdy of a detail even exists, much less is flaunted. That's the word I was looking for. Amazing. 616 started the multiverse in 2 different universes, one of them being our own. Beautiful. The Senior Ronnie Sontra, Rick and Morty. We better see Owen Wilson on jet ski by the end of this. I agree. And one of the writers, I believe, works on Rick and Morty of Loki. And yes, if he doesn't get a jet ski moment, we all riot. Comic Quirks with Jimmy, just showing some love. Much appreciated. Comic Quirks with Jimmy with the Streamlab, showing some love. I like how you have my name on your shirt. A bit stalkery, but okay. You know, it's just the top you see. So there we go. And you don't see it says with Jimmy right here, but you don't even know. It's Quirky with Jimmy. Is it? I just try to represent, man. And then Joel Rolston says, did Marvel announce Gugu Ruz Ravana before Loki first aired? I believe they did. I remember her being that character. Like, I before it even aired, I remembered her being that character, so I think they announced it. But I never know what I hear officially versus what I hear through press releases versus what rumors I hear. So I think it was official. I think Marvel officially announced it, but I cannot remember pre-3 weeks ago where I would have heard that from or like exactly what context. Apologies. All right, I'm gonna give you guys some comic book recommendations, and I'm gonna head out because I have a ton of other work to do, but I could not miss 2 weeks away from you lovelies. It is good to be back, and I will be obviously hitting my Tuesdays again. I know I left town, and then also last week missed it for GPA, but Tuesdays at 5:30 is still when we do this show. I do apologize, it's been a bit hectic of late. As the world reopens, there will be some adjusting, but hopefully we can get some guests in here soon, because I do think guests will be fun, and I do think that is part of the perks of doing a show from your home. I can have some friends on, and we can just chat on the couch and go over some news, and maybe some familiar faces. All right, my favorite comic books from the 2nd. So I'm a little behind on comic books, so these are my favorite comics from 2 weeks ago, June 2nd. I'm currently reading comics from the 9th, and then by next week, I'll be caught up on the 16th as well. So from the beginning of the month, June 2nd, my favorite books were Batman 109, Batman Catwoman number 5, Black Cat number 7, Deadly Class 46, Immortal Hulk 47, Iron Man Annual, Justice League 62, Marauders 21, The Nice House on the Lake number 1, Non-Stop Spider-Man number 3, Savage Avengers 21, and Avengers number 20 were all B pluses or A's. Those are my favorite comic books from that week. A lot of good stuff that week. Batcat continues to be absolutely awe-inspiring. Black Cat continues to really surprise and impress me, even though it's been very good for a long time. Deadly Class is probably my favorite indie. Currently being printed next to Department of Truth. So much good out there. Those are my favorites from that week. And then the comic books I recommend you pick up tomorrow. Tomorrow's comic books for June 23rd, 2021. There's a lot of them. I'm going to read them fast. Action Comics 1032, Amazing Spider-Man 69, Ascender 16, Batman Reptilian number 1, my guy Jock doing art on Batman, very excited. Captain Marvel 29, Detective Comics 1038, Fantastic Four Life Story number 2, Gamma Flight number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 15, Harley Quinn number 4, Heroes Return number 1, Homesick Pilots number 6, Marvel's Voices Pride number 1, Marvel Masterworks hardcover number 13. It's a big collection of Marvel Masterworks glory in hardcover. Mr. Miracle Source of Freedom number 2, Reptile number 2, Robin number 3, Shadecraft 4, Silk 4, Something is Killing the Children 17, Stray Dogs 5, Superman 32, Sword number 6, Transmet Trade number 5, Undiscovered Country number 13, Vinyl number 1, Way of X number 3, Web of Spider-Man number 2, Wolverine 13, Wonder Woman 774, and Wonder Woman Black and Gold number 1 are all coming out tomorrow. DC dropped today, but I consider Wednesday New Comic Book Day, so to me, in my heart, they're all coming out tomorrow. I am, as I said, 2 weeks behind. Tomorrow I'll be 3 weeks behind, so I'm going to try to finish my June 9th comics today. I'm going to try to be caught up in 2 weeks to all of June's books. It's going to be a lot of readings. I'm reading all of those, but I'm going to try to catch up for you guys. So we talked about Suicide Squad. We talked about my Disneyland experience. We talked about all sorts of goodness today. We talked about Shazam. I'm going to briefly look through the questions real quick. If you guys have any last thing before I wrap this up. I saw a bunch of people just jumped in as I was wrapping up, so I wanted to give them the chance. Talked about Batman controversy, but I really talked about that more on the Good People Association. We talked about Transformers Beast Wars, and we talked about, perhaps most importantly, the 20th anniversary of Fast and the Furious is today. Happy 20th Fast and the Furious. So much love for you as a franchise, as a film series. I think that's going to do it, you lovelies. Luckily, it was a kind of a slow news week last week when I missed you, so it wasn't a bunch of catch up. But tomorrow, brand new Coy-Cast drops anywhere you get your podcasts. As always, thank you for being here. To all my patrons, thank you so much for everything you do. I'm going to have a bunch of stuff dropping here and on the Patreon over this week because I'm playing a big old game of catch-up. And Schmodown Collision, July 10th. I got 3 of the 4 matches. Kevin Smith, #1 contender match. Star Wars, Demalanta keeps that belt. Shazam Teams keeps their team belts. I've got 2 sets of champions and 1 vying for the championship. By the end of Collision, I'm gonna have a lot of belts. So very excited about that. That is gonna do it, you lovelies. I will see you next Tuesday right here, but I'll see you before that and various other things. Next week, I'm doing a displate review for the Departed Minimalist poster. Next week, I am doing a watch-along, maybe something Fast and Furious related for Michael McCarcel. Next week, I'm doing a My Hero Academia Season 3 Part 1 review. I'm gonna start watching My Hero Academia Season 3 and review that next week. All of that's coming at you next week, plus a podcast, plus this show, plus Schmodown stuff, plus all the comics I'm catching up on. Lots of goodness. All right. I appreciate you, lovelies. I will see you next week at the latest, probably sooner. Find me on the internet. I'm right there. Always. Much love, guys.